This tape has been copyrighted by Platinum Training Centers. Any duplication or reproduction without written consent is prohibited.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. My name is Hector Lamarck, and we're going to be talking to you about Primerica Financial Services, our company. And as you can see this slide right here, it says Primerica, member of Citigroup, where dreams come true. And the reason I put that up there is because it definitely is where dreams come true. I mean, I've been involved for 17 years, and in that 17-year period, every dream I ever thought about having has come true. And as a result of that, a lot of the people that we got involved in our business, you can see this wall here, they also have had their dreams come true. We have close to 100 people now that make between $100,000 and $3 million a year. It's just been an amazing thing. I'm going to be sharing with you a couple of things. One is who we are, and then two is what we do for people, which is one of the most important parts of our business. If you're anything like me, one of the things that was very important to me is what we did for people. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't part of a company or part of offering products or services that would any way, reflect badly on me or, hurt anybody that I knew in any way, shape, or form. And that was super important. So I'm going to be sharing that with you as well. And then we're going to be talking about, what's in it for you. Where do you fit in? And if you got involved with us, how it could help you personally. So here we go. Primerica Financial Services, a member of Citigroup. It says company for the 21st century, and it definitely is that. If you look at, we have more than 100,000 representatives today. We also have 6 million clients in the United States and Canada. We just started doing business in Spain. It looks like by the end of the year we'll be doing business in Japan as well. And the next place after Japan, we're talking about moving into Germany. So, there's 285 million Americans. There's roughly 20 to 30 million Canadians. There's somewhere in the area of about 40, 50, 60 million Spaniards, over 100 million Japanese. Our market is just gigantic and expanding at an accelerating rate, which is very exciting. So we're going all over the place, expanding internationally. Citigroup's our parent company. Citigroup is listed on the New York Stock Exchange, which is very prestigious. It's one of the 30 Dow Jones Industrial Average stocks. That's a big deal. Of the millions of companies that do business in the United States, they select 30 companies, the Dow does, to represent the economy as a whole, right? And in the financial services sector, Citigroup was chosen as the financial services representative of those 30 companies. That's a big deal, and so we're really proud of that. The fact that we're there. And then we now have over $900 billion in assets, approaching $1 trillion. Probably by the end of the year, there's a very good chance that might be at $1 trillion. That's a huge company. That makes Citigroup the largest company on the planet in terms of assets. There is simply not a company that's bigger than Citigroup. We're it, So if you were going to get into the financial services arena, Citigroup is the place to be. It's ranked number 1 on the Forbes World Super 50. They put together of the world's top 50 companies. Forbes does every year. It's a very prestigious magazine, and we're number 1. So that pretty much says it all, right? It's pretty good. And some of the subsidiaries of Citigroup are Primerica Financial Services. That's us. What we are is we're the marketing arm of Citigroup. We market many of the products that the different companies that Citigroup owns produces, and we'll talk about some of those tonight. Citibank is one of our sister companies, Citi Financial, Lending, Travelers Bank and Trust, Travelers Life and Annuity, Travelers Property and Casualty, Auto and Homeowners, Solomon Smith Barney, we make money the old-fashioned way, we earn it. Remember that saying, right? Well, we market a lot of their mutual funds. And then Citigroup Asset Management Company. So those are some of the companies. If you'll notice, in April, which is really right around the corner, every year the Masters golf tournament happens, and Citigroup is one of the 2 sponsors of the Masters, and the other sponsor would be Cadillac. But you'll be seeing a lot of us during the Masters, so keep your eye out. That's the first, I think it's the first weekend in April. Citigroup in the news. This is a gentleman that runs Citigroup. His name's Sandy Weil. Sandy is an amazing human being. He says right here, Wall Street legend. He definitely is that. He built a company called Shearson Lehman Brothers, which is a brokerage company. He built it from scratch, he and a couple other guys. And then they sold that company to American Express for about $1 billion. Of course, he became very wealthy with that. He became the president of American Express with the idea that he was going to become the CEO. That he didn't get along with the then CEO, so he decided to leave and started looking at some other things. One of the things he first tried to do was take over Bank of America, and that didn't quite work out. He ended up taking over a smaller company, a lending company called Commercial Credit. At that time, Commercial Credit was doing about $20 million a year in profit, in total profit, which is a decent company. But he then he took that company. Actually, that company, Commercial Credit, is now Citigroup. That's what it is. And the third quarter of last year, Citigroup did over $3 billion in profit in the third quarter of 2000, right? So that's a pretty big number, right? Almost probably for the year over $10 billion in profit. So he said in Business Week on October 18th, 1993, my goal is to build the #1 financial services company in America. Well, he obviously did that. Not only did he do that, he built the largest in the world. So that's pretty impressive. I mean, so when he says something, he means that. He has some pretty exciting things that he's talked about where he expects Citigroup to be in the next 10 years. He expects it to be 10 times bigger, 10 times more valuable than it is right now. So whatever the stock's trading at, the goal is to have the stock, because right now it's trading around $50. So in the next 10 years, the goal is to have that stock be trading at around $600-700 a share. So there's no guarantee for that, but that's his goal, and his track record's great, okay? Past performance is no guarantee of future performance, all right? But he has a great track record. We're in the news all the time. Money said Citigroup will create the ultimate financial supermarket, and that was in Money, October 1998. We have done that. This question, I think, is an important question. Would you feel comfortable doing business with or working with a company of the magnitude of Primerica and Citigroup? What do you think most people would say to that? Yeah. Absolutely. That's an important question, because if you're not comfortable with it, then of course it doesn't make sense to move forward, right? And that's the reason we show you that information, so you know it's a very significant company. It's not only a significant, it's growing like crazy. One of the things I would invite you to do when you have an opportunity is take a look at our website. There's a Citigroup website, and there's a Primerica website. They're actually linked together. Lots of great information to give you even more confidence in who you're looking at right now. Our mission is to help families become debt-free and financially independent. That's what we're about. That's very important. And that statement right there, debt-free and financially independent, is really what we're trying to do here. This is what we do. When we go see a family, when we sit down with somebody, maybe it's a brother or a sister or anybody that you care about, our ultimate goal is to help them get debt-free and financially independent. That's the purpose of the visit. If we can't do that, then we don't do business with people. If we don't have a viable plan to help a family accomplish that, then we don't do business. So if you take us to go see somebody or we go see you, you need to feel comfortable that we're not in the business of just doing transactions for transactions' sake to make a commission. That is simply not how we operate. We really have a much longer-term vision of where we're headed and what we're trying to do, and it involves really making that a priority right there. So let me show you some statistics to kind of give you an idea of why what we're doing is such a viable thing today. Household borrowing has risen almost 60% to $6.5 trillion in the past 5 years, according to Wall Street Journal, July 5th, 2000. Despite an unprecedented economic boom, more than half of Americans are worried about having enough money for retirement. That's USA Today, April 27, 2000. Families across America have accumulated $505 billion in credit card debt, averaging a balance of nearly $8,000 per household. That's USA Today. This is January of this year. Well, in California, folks, it's a lot more than $8,000, okay? Southern California, it's probably 25, 30, 40 grand, okay? It's much worse in Southern California than it is in the rest of the country. People need us even more here probably than any place else. Cost of living's high in California, if you haven't noticed yet, right? And so really people need us more than ever. The total number of bankruptcies filed during the 1999 calendar year totaled 1.31 million, according to the American Bankruptcy Institute, January 2000 this year. And I just read about a month ago in the Los Angeles Times that they expect bankruptcies to be up in 2001 20% over a record 2000. We don't have yet the numbers for 2000, but it's growing at a faster rate than ever. And if you haven't noticed in the newspapers, companies are laying off people left and right. You look at, all major companies all over the country. It's just an amazing thing, and another reason for us. Now, the question I have for you is, do you have a written program to get out of debt and retire financially secure? If you were to go ask 10 people on the street tonight that question, how many do you think would say, yes, of course I do, right? Guess what? Probably zero. A matter of fact, I other than people that have high net worths, almost nobody has a plan like that. They just don't. So what we do is we help people with that. People, do you agree that people need a plan? Some sort of a plan? And you've heard this probably before. Most people don't plan to fail. They just failed the plan, right? You've heard that, and it's very true. People aren't like when they're 18 years old and all excited about graduating from high school and either ready to go to college or get a job and get out of their house, and get out of the thumb of their parents or whatever kids think about, right? They're not thinking, I can't wait to fail and be 40 years old and dead broke and filing bankruptcy. Right? That is not what kids think about, right? They're thinking everything's going to be peachy keen, right? But the fact is, nobody plans to fail. But you know what? Almost nobody has a plan either. So what ends up happening, because they don't have a plan, they end up not doing as well. Maybe not failing, but certainly not doing as well as they could do, right? Okay, so the problem is this. Traditional financial institutions sell you products. They don't provide you with a total solution. Most, banks, mortgage companies, brokerage companies, they're not really interested in helping you solve all of your financial problems. They're interested in selling you a product. Lending companies want to sell you a loan, right? Brokerage companies want to sell you a stock or a mutual fund, right? They're not. Insurance companies want to sell you an insurance policy of some sort. They're not interested in your whole financial package. That's one of the problems out there. So what ends up happening, if you're anything like me, when I got involved, before I knew about Primerica and what they could do for me, this was my situation. I had a life insurance policy with New York Life. I had a bank account with Security Pacific. I had a mortgage with Countrywide. I had a credit card with, I had several credit cards with different companies, right? Savings account at the same bank. I didn't have any mutual funds back then, but I had an annuity. I had auto and home insurance with State Farm. I had a 401k type savings program with my employer. But they were all over the place, right? Nobody's talking to each other, and there is no rhyme or reason. So it's kind of like the way I kind of use the analogy. If you go to see a doctor, right, for something, they always have you fill out a questionnaire, right? And the questionnaire asks questions like, are you taking any medication now? Are you allergic to anything? Have you had a surgery before? All kinds of stuff. They ask you lots of questions. Why do they ask you those questions? Because they want to make sure that they don't prescribe some sort of a remedy or a prescription to you that conflicts with what you're currently doing that could kill you, right? For two reasons. They don't want to have to dip into their what do they call that, malpractice insurance, and they don't want to kill you, all right? So they ask you those questions. In other words, what doctors want to find out is they want to find out where you are right now in terms of your medical condition, right, and what you're doing, so they can then decide where to go next, right, and what to do for you, right? That's very important that you answer those questions. Well, in your financial life, it's the same thing. You need to find out where you are right now so that we can figure out what to do for you, right? And that's one of the things that we do. Now, the solution is a complimentary, confidential financial needs analysis that provides customized programs that help people achieve their goals. What it is, really, it's a roadmap. Well, I used to call it a roadmap. It's really a treasure map. Because if you follow it, at the end, there really is a treasure. It's not just a roadmap. If you follow this plan, like I'm going to show you right now, it could literally change your life in a really positive way. And you'll see right now what I'm talking about. So the FNA provides solutions. This is what it does. We take a look at and we provide answers and solutions to your investment needs, right? Whatever they are, whether it's retirement, your children's college education, whatever that happens to be, whatever you want to accomplish. Maybe you want to buy a house in the next 5 years or something like that, and you want to plan to do that. We can help you with that. It helps you with debt elimination. I want you to think about this. How would it be if you did not have to, if you had your house paid off, right, you had no house payment or no rent payment, right, and you had no car payments, no credit card payments, no payments, all the thing you had to pay for was your food, right, and clothing and miscellaneous things like insurance and whatever, right? How much more money could you save each month if you didn't have any of those obligations? $1,000 extra a month? $2,000 extra a month, right? Some of you maybe $3,000 or $4,000 extra a month, okay? So debt, see, is the number one problem why people don't save money, as much money as they'd like to. They just simply have too much debt. But people think, well, you cannot have a house payment, right? Why not? Why can't you pay it off, right? You cannot have a car payment. Well, why not? Why can't you have a plan and a strategy to pay that thing off? Of course you can, right? You just have never had anybody present you with the information of how to do it. We'll show you how to do that. Income protection. You know, you got to have that, right? If you die prematurely, your beneficiaries or people you're leaving behind, they have those obligations. Food, water, shelter, clothing, education, those things don't stop just because you die, right? They go on for the people that are left behind. It's important that those are taken care of. Income management and making sure you manage the income well. Expense management, make sure you manage your expenses. And we talk about all those things. So let me ask you a question. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, how would you rate your desire to become debt-free and financially independent? What would it be? 10. 10, right? What do you think most people would say? Well, 2. No one's going to say 2, right? They're all going to say 10. Everybody's going to say 10, okay? As soon as you say 10, what you're telling me is that you want to have a financial needs analysis done immediately, right? Because if you're sincere that 10 is 10, right, then that's the way you get there. So we've got to do a financial needs analysis for you at a minimum, okay? So a plan to become debt-free and financially independent is our SMART solution. That stands for Save Marriages and Remain Together, okay? Not really. It stands for Save Money and Reduce Taxes. It's an acronym, okay? And I'm going to show you, this is the first strategy. I'm going to show you 3 different areas that we help. This is a client that I'm going to share that we actually helped, okay? And we changed their name, okay? That their name's not John and Mary, but we use that just because we don't want to tell you who they really are. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, the reason we do that is to protect their identity. The bottom line, these are truly real clients of ours that we helped, and I'm going to show you what we do. I'm going to ask you 3 questions after each product that I share with you, okay? And, just bear with me and humor me, okay, and answer the questions. And we're going to be redundant, but there's a method to my madness here, okay? So this client here, John and Mary, they had a first mortgage, $96,000. Their payment was $820 a month for 25 years left on the loan. Originally, it was a 30-year loan at 9.25. The original loan was $100,000. Their house is worth over $150,000 right now. They also had personal debt of $20,000, paying $750 a month per. That would be like credit cards and car payments and whatnot. Okay. They're totally. All of their debt situation was $1,570 a month, and what we did for them is this: we made them a new loan. We do loans. This is one of the things we do. So we were able to refinance it. We did a new loan for them of $120,000 for 25 years. Their payment was $935 a month. 35 years of age right now, and what this did, it saved them $635 a month. Okay, that's pretty decent, right? $635 a month is like $7,000 a year in extra income into the family's household now that they wouldn't have had we not sat down with them and done this strategy, right? Is that a big deal? Yes, it's a big deal. If you were to go to work tomorrow and your boss said, hey, listen, you're doing such a great job, we're going to give you a $635 a month raise net, would you be a little bit excited? Right? You'd be pumped up, right? You'd probably go right out that day and go buy a new car or something dumb like that, okay? So what we do, remember we said our goal is to help them be debt-free and financially independent, right? This is where we're different from our competition. We really mean what we said there, okay? So what we do is we say, look, we're going to take $437 of that $600-odd, and we're going to help you invest that at 10% for the next 15 years, and that's going to grow at 10% to $181,000. So just by taking part of that savings and setting up an investment plan for them, we give them, we put them in a position to have $181,000 15 years down the road. Is that significant? Yes. Okay. Is a client much more excited at the end of 15 years than they were before I came and saw them? Yes. Okay. So the other thing we're going to do is we're going to take the difference of 198 that's left over, and we're going to add that towards the payment of the principal. So instead of making a $900 payment or whatever that is, we're going to add this roughly $200 to it. So they're going to make a bigger payment than they need to. What that's going to do is this. It's going to accelerate the loan, and it's going to be paid off in 15 years, and they're still going to have the $181,000 in cash. So imagine now, 15 years down the road, because we got this client involved in this one strategy here, the client now has $181,000 in cash, right? That's available to them, plus their house is paid off, and they have no debt. Pretty decent, huh? Okay. How many of you would have liked to have this strategy 15 years ago? Right? A lot of you, right? Think about that, right? What if I had done this for you 15 years ago and this is your position today? Would I be kind of like a hero in your eyes maybe, right? Think about that, okay? Now look, that's not where it ends though. We take the $181,000 lump sum and now we invest the $1,500, which is now available, right? Because it's there. The house is paid off. There's no more debt. We've got $1,500 a month. We invest it to age 67, right? At a 10% return, that would put this client in a position where they have $1,820,000 in cash at retirement. Now, here's the questions. If you were to do something like this for your brother or your mother or your father or your sister or your good friend, and you left them in this kind of a position at retirement, how would they feel about you? Because you know what I found out? A lot of people are really concerned what their relatives are going to think about them, their friends are going to think about it if they get involved in this thing. But if you're going to do that for them, they're going to love you, right? And how do you think you'd feel about yourself if you were responsible for that? Pretty good, right? Now, let me ask you the third question. What if you were going to you sat in front of 10 different families that had a similar situation to this, and you were able to do something like this for them? Out of 10 people, how many do you think would go ahead with this solution if you presented it just like this and it worked like that or something like that for them? Out of 10 people, how many would say yes to this, do you think? That's what everybody says, right? The only reason they wouldn't is they didn't like you, okay? And we can't help you if they don't like you. So the bottom line is this: if 10 out of 10 would go ahead, if people would feel great about you and you'd feel great about yourself, right? And there's no way to fail, why not do it, right? Can you see that? That's what I started saying. I said, this is a no-brainer, right? And so that's what we do right there. That's our first strategy. Let me ask you another question. One other question. What if you had a good friend or a brother or sister or something like that, and they knew about this information, and you were in that situation, and they could do this for you, but they were so concerned what you might think about them, about you calling them to talk to them about it, that they never called you and offered this to you, and now you're 67 years old, and then you find out that you could have done this, but because they were afraid of what you might think about them, that they didn't call you. How would you feel about them if they didn't tell you about this, and this could be you? Think about that. Would you be happy with them? No. Right? You'd be upset. Right? I'd be really mad at you if you did this to me. Right? Didn't tell me. At least give me the option to find out and say yes or no to it. Right? Buy term and invest the difference. Now, folks, this client right here, before Primerica, John had an insurance policy, life insurance policy of $150,000. Mary had no coverage. They had nothing on the children. He had $150,000 of cash value life insurance. It was with a savings instrument, and they were paying $110 a month for that. Okay, that's what John was paying. After we did the financial needs analysis, we discovered that John needed $300,000, not $150,000. He was grossly underinsured. Okay. Mary needed $150,000 based on her situation. The kids, we put $5,000 on each of the kids. It's $455,000 worth of protection that we offered them as opposed to $150,000, right? And it was $71 a month as opposed to $110,000. Is that a good situation? Is that a little bit better or a lot better? It's a lot better, right? Okay. So what that works out to is we were able to give John and Mary 3 times the coverage for $39 less a month. Again, if you were to do this for somebody you cared about, what would they think about you? How would you feel about yourself? And out of 10 people that you could do this for, just like this, how many would go ahead, you think? All 10, right? Again, can you see what I'm getting at right here? Right? Hard to fail. People like you. It's incredible. Okay? How many works? I'm going to talk to you about the rule of 72. One of the things that I found out, in school they teach us a lot of things, right? Writing, reading, arithmetic, right? They're talking to you about, but do you know what they never talk to you about? Everything about going to school is to prepare you for the real world so that you can get gainful employment so you can take care of yourself, right? That's the whole point of going to school and then maybe even going on to college or graduate school and getting a degree of some sort so that you become a viable employee. That's why most people go to school. But what they don't ever teach you is once you start making money, what do you do with the money? Right? There's no classes on what to do with the money. How do you invest it? How do you stay out of debt? How do you do all these things that are that we find out later, right, are so important? No one teaches that. Actually, the only one that teaches that is Primerica. So look, the rule of 72 says this. It approximates the number of years it takes for your money to double. So what you do is you divide the rate of return, let's say 3%, into the number 72. That's the constant right there. 3 into 72 gives us 24. So we know now at a 3% rate of return, if that's what we're getting on our money's going to double every 24 years. So if you have $1,000, right, in 24 years it's going to be $2,000. In 48 years it's going to be $4,000, right? You can see that, okay? At 6%, because 6 goes into 72 12 times, it doubles much more quickly every 12 years, and at 12% it doubles every 6 years, okay? So the question you have to ask yourself is how many doubling periods do I have left in my lifetime? Right? That's an important question. Because see, if you're 20 years old, you got a few doubling periods, even at 24, even at 3%, okay? But if you're 50, you might have 1, or if you're really lucky, 2, okay? You really take care of yourself, right? You don't have a lot of time. So if we don't have a lot of time, then we want to make sure that we're right here, right, in terms of the rate of return so that our money can grow a lot faster rate, right? So that we can end up with more at retirement or whatever it is we want to accomplish. So let me show you what this means in terms of real dollars and doing something that you can, maybe makes more sense. Let's assume this client, what we did is we set up an account, $200 monthly savings for 35 years, okay? Now, if you save $200 a month for 35 years, that's $70,000 is what it is, okay? $200 a month for 70 years, that's what it works out to, I think, something like that, okay? At a 3% rate of return, that $200 a month over that 35 years would be $148,000, that's okay, right? It's more than you would have had you not saved any, right? But if you were to get a 3% rate of return, it's $286,000. 3 extra points gives you, it doubles it essentially, right? Okay, it's a big difference. Now, if you were to go from 6% to 12%, what do you think most people would say if you asked them, well, John and Mary, if it's 286 at 6%, it's 140 at 3%, what do you think it would be at 12? What do you think most people say? That's right. That's exactly what they say. They double it again. They go, it would be double. I'm telling you, I've been doing this for 17 years, folks. Every single time I did this, asked that question, I got the same answer. Always the same. Because why? Because it seems logical, okay? But what you're not thinking about is the doubling periods, right? You got a lot more doubling periods at 12% than you do at 6, okay? So it goes to 1.2 million. See that? So that's a big difference, huh? That's a $900,000 difference. This is what happens a lot. We run into this all the time. We sit down with clients that have 401ks, and they're invested completely inappropriately for what their goals are and their age and all this. Happens all the time. Because, if you have a 401k with an employer, no one ever really sits down with you and advises you on what you should be doing. They don't do that, okay? They just go sign up and they leave you to your own devices. Well, that's potential tragedy. This is what happens a lot. Let's look at it this way. let's say that you are an employee at Acme, whatever, okay? And you have a friend that works with you, and you both have worked there for 35 years, okay? And you've both been contributing $200 a month to your 401k. Except you sat down with me, the Primerica rep, and I said, you know what, you need to be in equities, you need to do this. We did a financial needs analysis, we figured out an investment strategy for you, and we made sure you had your money invested appropriately for your goals that you have in your investment temperament, okay? And then your buddy, they just listened to the person at work and said, you know, you got to be safe and conservative, you got to put it in something safe, so they put all their money in a bond fund or a money market fund. Folks, it happens a lot. So now we're getting ready to retire, right? We started this company when we're 20 or 25, now we're 60. And we talk. So you're retiring, huh, John? Yeah, I'm retiring too. So how'd your 401k end up, right? And John says, man, it's great. I have $286,000. And I'm like going, what? And he goes, well, how about you? Well, it's a little more than that. Well, what do you mean a little more than that? Yeah, well, mine's $1,200,000. What do you mean $1,200,000? We made the same amount of money. We contributed the same $200. How could yours be $1,200,000 and mine's $286,000? Well, didn't you talk to that Primerica rep when he came around to talk? Well, no, I didn't ever do that. I thought he was just trying to sell me something. Oh, wow. So how's this guy feeling about now, right? You don't think that happens? It happens every day. Why does it happen? Because of ignorance. Because nobody sat down with them and showed them what to do. That's why it happens. We're the solution to that, folks. You getting involved could be the difference between somebody ending up there and going, I got 286s and I should have $1 million too. Can you just kind of figure what the quality of life difference would be? Huh? Right? If you got 286 at 10%, that's $28,000 a year in income that's going to generate, right? $1.2 million at 10%, it's $120,000 a year in income. It's $10,000 a month instead of $2,500 a month. Could you do different things in your retirement than the other person? A lot different, right? That's why this is so important. It's not like, oh, I don't have time, I'm too busy. What do you mean? You can't be too busy for this. Nobody could be too busy to find out and do the right thing. Would you agree with that? Yes. This is critical. So, Albert Einstein, the guy with the long hair, that goes like this, he said compound interest is the most powerful force in the universe. And it is, if you use it to your advantage. So, what I'm going to talk to you about right now is kind of like what's in it for you. I'm going to discuss 4 ways that you can potentially earn income. Okay? There's 4 legal ways to earn income. There's a lot of ways to earn income, but there's 4 essentially legal ways. And I'm going to talk to you about those 3. We got this, I was able to get this from a friend of mine now. His name is Robert Kiyosaki. I asked him if he would allow us to use this because it's in a book that he wrote called The Cash Flow Quadrant. He's also written a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad that's been on the New York Times bestseller list for a long time now. And I would recommend you read that. It's a fabulous book. But when I was having lunch with him one day, I said, hey, I love this part of your book. Would you let us use this? And he let us use it. So this is why we're using it now. And he says, and I never really heard it quite like this, but this makes so much sense because most of us, we never really, we just go and we hopefully get a good job and we make money, but we never really think about how we make our money. Most people never stop to think about that because it impacts your life a lot on how you make money. Most people are employees. The vast majority of Americans are employees. They have a job. And when you're an employee, your income is based on the position generally and really not the person. Look, what I'm saying is this. Generally what happens, if you're a school teachers make a range of income, right? Okay? If you're a police officer, they make a range of income, right? If you're an engineer, they make a range of income. Usually, depending on what you do, there's a range. I used to be in the jewelry business. I used to manage a jewelry store, okay, before I got in Primerica. Jewelry store managers make a range of income, okay? When you're an employee, typically it's the position and not the individual that gets paid. That's one of the challenges with it. So there's a lot of limitations. You with me? Okay? Now, if you're self-employed, that's a second way people make money. It's a little different. A self-employed person owns a job. It could be a dentist, a doctor, a lawyer, a hairstylist, a real estate agent, a salesperson. And there's any number of things. You could be a plumber. It doesn't really matter what it is. Generally, what a self-employed person, I think there's some more advantages to being self-employed. One is if you're really good at what you do, you could make a lot more money, right? I mean, there are some real estate agents that make $1 million a year, and there's some that make no money, okay? So good ones make decent income. There's some lawyers, I was just reading in Parade magazine last weekend, right, that the average physician in America on a weekly basis, you know what the average weekly pay for a physician is in the United States? It's $1,365 a week, which is not even $6,000 a month, okay? Attorneys are just a hair under that. So, but you know, there's some doctors that make $1 million plus a year, right? There's some lawyers that make, you know, Johnny Cochran does very well, okay? Robert Shapiro, those guys, you know, they're famous and stuff like that. You know, F. Lee Bailey, they do very well. But the average attorney doesn't make a lot of money, okay? But if you're good at what you do very well if you're self-employed. The problem, though, if you're really good at what you do and you're self-employed, it's hard to have a life because everybody wants your time and attention. Make sense? You know, if you're a really great lawyer, everybody wants you. So you're busy, you don't have a life, okay? The other problem with being self-employed, if you're self-employed, if you don't work, you don't make money, right? If you're a physician and you don't show up to work, you don't get paid, right? If you're not seeing patients, you're not going to make money. If you're not doing surgery, you're not going to make money. If you're an attorney and you're not trying cases or working on cases, you're not going to get paid. So that's a challenge with being self-employed. A lot of the people that I run across that are self-employed, they think they own their own business, but they don't. And I'll tell you why, okay? How you can tell if you own your own business, you own a business or you're self-employed is this. If you are not there, can you still make money? And if the answer is no, then you're self-employed. You don't own a business. Okay? So a lot of people out there are misled, thinking that they're they have own a business, but they really don't. Okay? Now let me give you an example. If you're a business owner, it's a little different. A business, when you own a business, you own a system, you have others working for you, you have unlimited income potential. It could be in anything. We're talking about financial services right now. I own a financial service business. Folks, I've been doing this. I've been doing financial services. I've been with Primerica now since 1984, January of 84. So I'm in my 17th year right now. I have not actually seen clients, you know, going to see clients and help clients personally since 1992. Okay? So for 10 years, I have not had to really do anything to make money. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's pretty good. So that means if I'm gone for a month and I'm on vacation, I'm in Europe or I'm doing whatever I want to do, I still get paid the same amount whether I'm there or not. Anybody like that situation? Okay. That's because I own a business, all right? And what that means is this, okay? It's not really me that makes it work, it's the system. We have a system. The system's the most important part of a business. I used to think that the product was the most important part of the business, right? If you have a great product, you could have a great business. I used to think that. The fact is, the product is important, but it's not nearly as important as the system. A perfect example is this. You take a look at McDonald's, right? All of us have had some exposure to McDonald's. If you have kids, you absolutely have had exposure to McDonald's, right? Mickey D's. And so McDonald's is the most successful restaurant in the world. They sell more food than any other restaurant in the world. Huge multi-billion-dollar organization, right? Now, they have bad food that's bad for you and the number one restaurant in the world. How do you explain that? Huh? How do you explain that a company could be the biggest and the most successful restaurant in the world and have terrible food that's bad for you? It's obviously not the product, right? Because the product is not really the food. The product in McDonald's is the system. See? People are willing to invest $1 million in a McDonald's franchise because they know that if they buy that, it's a moneymaker. They're buying the system. They're not, oh, I can't wait to fry French fries and flip hamburgers. That's not what somebody does when they buy a McDonald's franchise. You don't see owners of McDonald's franchises working in the stores, right? You see teenagers and old people that didn't plan, right? That's what you see in a McDonald's. Their system's so good that, look, it's run by teenagers. That's how good their system is. Think about it, okay? So if you're thinking about getting into business for yourself in the financial services business, Primerica has the best system there is. It literally does. And you can do your own due diligence, but it's the best. Nothing even comes remotely close to it in terms of a business opportunity. It's an amazing thing. So you want to own a system. And then the fourth way and last way is an investor. Hey, John and Mary, if they do the F&A all the way to 67 and they follow that plan, right, on that loan strategy, they're going to have $1,800,000, right? On the $200 a month, they're going to have $1.2 million. If you had $1.2 million to $1.8 million, that's $3 million, right? If they have $3 million in cash, folks, they're an investor. $3 million, even at 10%, is $300,000 a year in passive income. That's $25,000 a month. How would you like to be in that place? That'd be fun, wouldn't it? Okay, $25,000 coming every month, whether you get out of bed or not. That'd be good, right? Okay. Well, see, of the ways right here to make money, which two ways appealed you all the most? Yeah, that's what everybody says, 100% of the time. That's a loaded question, right? Business and investor. That's what everybody always says. But you know what? Everybody's always over here. And everybody wants to be over here. Okay? So the $64,000 question is, how do you do it? How do you get there, right? How do you get to the right side of the quadrant? Because you're here probably, right? You want to be over here. How? Well, you do what I did. I took a look at this, like you're looking at it now, and I said, I worked for a company called William Pitt Jewelers, right? I was in the jewelry business. I used to manage jewelry stores. And I hated answering to a boss. I hated having to ask for time off for whatever, right? I hated the fact that they could determine when I could take vacations, right? Because there were certain times I could, certain times I couldn't, right? I didn't like any part of answering to somebody. Anybody with me on that? I mean, I just didn't like it, right? I'm rebellious. I don't like authority. I just never liked it. I figured I'm an adult. I know what to do. I don't need somebody telling me every day what I need to do. You make sure you're here at this time. Make sure you're doing this. I don't need that, right? I want to do it on my own, right? Anybody with me on that? Am I the only one? Okay, great. Make sure I'm talking to the right people here. So what I did is I got involved. I was right here as an employee, and then I took a look at Primerica, like you're looking at. I said, the company's unbelievable, right? Citigroup, it's incredible, right, Primerica? The products and what we do for people is incredibly special. Would you agree with that? That's not a little thing to take a client from where they're at to helping them potentially become a millionaire, right? That's no small feat. That's significant, okay? And then, I got involved, and I was self-employed because when I started Primerica, I was by myself. It was just me going to see people, right? So I didn't have anybody. If I didn't work, I didn't make money. That's how it started. But then what I started doing, you know how somebody invited you here to try to show you, to try to get you involved in the business, right? Well, I started doing that. And I started sharing what we do and all that with people. And you know what? Some people said, nah, not for me. But some people said, yeah, that's great. I want to do it, right? So I just kept on talking to a lot of people. And eventually, what ended up happening, a lot of the people that started to say yes, I started developing them. And pretty soon, I wasn't just making money on what I was doing. I had a business going on, right? Where I was making money on what I was doing, plus I was building an organization, and I was making overrides on that, which I'll talk to you about in a second. And pretty soon, before I knew it, I was making more money from what my team was doing, my organization was doing, than I was doing on my own, right? And then it started to get very exciting. So I'm going to share with you how that works right now. And then what happened, this is how it went for me. I started part-time in 1984, and that first year I made $18,000 part-time. How much of you could use an extra $18,000 in the next 12 months? Extra above what you already make. That would come in handy, right? Okay. So it's not a fortune, but 18 grand's 18 grand, right? If I wrote you a check for 18 grand, most of you take it right now, right? So think about this, okay? So then the next year, I made $35,000. I started knowing what I was doing. I got a little better, right? And then my third year, which is 86, I made $86,000. By that time, a lot of the people that you see in the top of that top row there, they were getting in my business, right? And I was starting to develop them, and they were starting to do well. And my business was starting to grow. And then my fourth year, which is 1987, my income jumped to $409,000 in my fourth year. So I want you to imagine, if you knew in 48 months, or actually 36 months plus the next year, your income was going to go from where you are right now to $409,000, how many would be in right now? Okay, there you go. See? Well, that's what happened to me. And then my fifth year, which is 1988, my income jumped from $409,000 to $855,000 the next year. That was in 1988. Well, since 1988, my business has grown every year since then. Last year, we were paid $3.3 million to do this, what you just saw right now, this thing. Not bad, huh? I can't believe I'm actually having to try to talk you into this. That's what really cracks me up, right? You have a job, you have an employer, right, of limited income potential, showing you a way that you got unlimited income potential, and somebody will go, oh, it's interesting, I think I'll think about it. Think about what? What are you going to think about? So if I could help you become financially independent more quickly, would you join me in my business? Would you? Because some of you are going, how do you get people involved? Well, you show them what I just showed you, you ask those questions, and then you ask this question. And they either say yes or they say no. And if they say no, you go, why not? There's two reasons why not, okay? There's only two reasons why people don't do our business. One is they're afraid of being rejected. They're afraid of what their friends will say. They're afraid of what their wife or husband will say. They're afraid of what their parents will say. They're afraid of being rejected. They don't want people to think they're goofy or anything. So they're deathly afraid of that. That's the number one reason I see, right? But we already know, how are they going to feel about you when you do what we just showed? You already told me they're going to like you, right? So that's not an issue, right? The second reason that people don't get involved is they're afraid of failing. They're simply afraid. What if I try it and it doesn't work out and I give all this energy and it just doesn't happen? And I fail. What does that say about me? I'm not willing to do that. Folks, nobody says what I'm saying to you right now, but that's what they think, okay? But we already know if you show 10 people this thing, 10 out of 10, you told me would go ahead. So how can you fail? Huh? How? The only way is people don't like you, okay? Really. You don't have this look on your face, and, you just like... Otherwise, I mean, if you're sitting with the right people and you're going to be successful. You just are. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of learning how to do it. This is not that complicated. So this is what's in it for you. This is our compensation situation. Now, I want you to remember, okay, this is for if you're a part-time Primerica representative, this is how it works. If you were to do that loan, now think of it, again, that loan, if we did that loan for that client, let's say $600 plus a month, right? If they just go the 15 years, right, they're out of debt and they have $181 grand in cash. If they go to retirement to 67 and continue to invest the $1,500, they end up with $1.8 million. Now, whatever they pay you, it's not going to be anywhere close to that. Think about this. I mean, I think what they ought to pay us is 10% of what they end up making is what I think they should do, okay? It's not quite that good, okay? What it is works like this. If you were to do that loan, this is what you'd make as a part-timer, $655. Now, if you get $655, they end up with $181 grand and no debt or $1.8 million. Who's the real winner in this scenario? The client wins by a bazillion miles, right? Because a lot of people go, well, I don't want my family or friends to think I'm trying to make a commission on them and make money on them. Folks, if you put them in that position, that's nothing, right? They're the winners. Now look, on the insurance transaction, it's $335. They end up with 3 times more coverage for $39 less a month. Come on, look. And then on the investment, $200 a month, $1.2 million versus potentially what they might have had if they didn't have the right information, right? $286. It's a big difference, right? It's $50. That's a total of $1,000. So if you were to see this client, you're a part-time rep, and you just help them, like we just showed you, help John and Mary, and you did those 3 things for them. You get paid $1,000. They end up financially independent and out of debt, right? Their stress level's way down. You did something good. You make $1,000. It takes you about 5 hours to do that. You go the first night about an hour, sit down, do a little presentation, gather the information. You leave. You come back to our office, and we do a financial needs analysis, and the whole time invested is about 5 hours, okay? So if you're investing 5 hours and you get paid $1,000, what does that work out to hourly? $200 an hour. The question I have for you is, are you making $200 an hour right now? If I could teach you over the next 6 to 8 months how to make as much as $200 an hour on a part-time basis, is there any reason you wouldn't at least give it a try? No reason, right? Okay. Now, it gets a little better, though. If you're a regional vice president, like Dennis, who introduced me, Dennis is a regional vice president, okay? Now, if Dennis goes and sees that same client, right, he says the same words, does the same work, does the same everything, right? Exactly the same 5 hours invested. Dennis makes $1,800 on the same loan. That's 3 times more, okay? On the insurance transaction, Dennis makes $640. On the investment, Dennis makes $135. On the total solution, right, helping the same 5 hours, Dennis makes $25.90. Dennis has the same 5 hours invested. 5 into $2,500 is what? It's $500 an hour. So if we could teach you over the next 18 to 24 to 36 months to put yourself in a position, you learn how to do our business. We teach you everything, okay? And even if you're really slow, we'll teach you anyways, okay? Guarantee you, we'll help you, all right? It's $500 now. If you could learn how to do that in the next, like I said, 18 to 24 to 36 months, can you think of a reason why you wouldn't say yes to that? Huh? It's just a no-brainer. Would you agree with that? I mean, it's like it makes sense. At a minimum, you would learn things that would help you personally for the rest of your life from a financial standpoint. That would be the downside. You know what I'm saying? You would learn things that you would never forget that would always help you, that you would make wise decisions when it comes to your personal financial situation for the rest of your life. That can't hurt you. There is no downside. Which is pretty exciting, right? If you knew there was no risk, right? I mean, why not? But the best part of it is our override situation. This is where you take advantage of a thing called leverage. This is where it gets really exciting. And I'll share a story with you in just a second, but I'm gonna make you all RVPs right now. Let's say that you all are RVPs, and you find me, Hector Lamarck. I'm motivated, okay? I don't like my job. I don't like my boss. I want to be my own man. I don't want to answer to anybody except for my wife. I'm going to be free. So I say, I love what your company, Citigroup, what an incredible company, Primerica, a great company. I love what you do. I love that I can make, extra money. That sounds fantastic. I want to be an RVP. What do I need to do? So you take me under your wing. You teach me how to do everything. You walk me through every little phase of the business. You show me how all the products work. You show me how to put together an F&A. You show me how to do a presentation. Show me how to set up appointments. You show me how to do everything, right? When I feel a little down, you pick me up. You're there for me for 8 months or 12 months. You're there for me, right? Wouldn't you agree that you would deserve some compensation for investing all that time and energy in me and teaching me all the things I need to know so I could be successful in my own right? Doesn't that make sense? Because all of us have trained somebody at a job we've had before, right? Did you get paid extra for that? No. Okay, well here, you get paid while you train people, but this is the best part. Now let's assume now I'm fully licensed. I know what I'm doing. I don't need your help. I find John and Mary. They're my client. You had nothing to do with it. I go see John and Mary. I go do the first appointment. I go do the second appointment. And then I finish the second appointment, and I call you up and I say, hey, Listen, you can't believe tonight, man, I helped this couple, John and Mary. I did a $90-some thousand loan on them. I did an insurance sale that was $70 a month, $455,000, and I did a $200 a month investment with them. Okay, and you're thinking, wow, that's good, because there's a thing called overrides. Because you taught me, this is what you make. This is your cut. Okay, on the loan, I make $655. I'm pumped up, right? Because for me, that's extra money. You make $1,160. You're not even there. Getting it? You're not even there. Okay? And then I do the loan on the insurance sale. I make $335. You make $305. You're not even there. You don't even know this client. You didn't even know about him until I called you tonight to tell you about it. Okay? I do the investment. I make $50. You make $85. You just made $1,550 in overrides, and you had zero to do with this client at all. Now, what if over the next 18 or 24 months, you found 10 of me, and each of us did this once a month part-time. We each did one life sale, one loan, one insurance transaction like that. What's 10 times 1,500? 15,500 a month. And then you go see a couple clients yourself, right? That's another $5,000. That's $20,000. You multiply it times 12 months, that's $240,000 a year. What's the chances of you making $240,000 a year at what you're doing right now? And you're thinking, oh, it's too good to be true. It can't happen. Yeah. You know what? The reason is because you're thinking in terms of an hourly wage or a salary. When you think in terms of hourly wages and salaries, that seems like a lot of money, right? But when you own a business, it's not. See, folks, this override situation, some people have problems with that. They go, well, this guy did all the work and you made $1,100. That's an override. I mean, that's not fair. Some people think that, okay? But right now, if you have a job and you're making whatever you're making, let's say you're making $50,000 a year right now. Let's say you're making $100,000. It doesn't matter. If you have an employer that's paying you $50,000, you got to be bringing in a lot more than $50,000, or they ain't paying you $50,000. Okay? You got to be worth $100,000 or $150,000 or $200,000, or they're not paying you that money. Okay? So the difference between what they pay you and what you're worth, the difference, that's their override. Right now, if you have a job, you're being overridden right now. You are. All of you are that have a job. So the question is, are you going to continue to be overridden, or are you going to get on the other side of the equation and be the overrider at some point? That's just the question. It's just the way it is, right? All we're showing you is a way for you to get on that other side and do it helping people with a great company, right, in a way that helps people. No one gets hurt here, right? And the beautiful thing, I'm the district manager. If I want to become an RVP, all I have to do, there's guidelines to do. As soon as I do them, I get promoted. So I don't have to, do anything out of the ordinary to get promoted. All I have to do is the guidelines. There's guidelines. You do them. They promote you, whether they like you, whether you're female or some other ethnic background, or if you're a Martian, it doesn't matter, okay? As long as you do it, we promote you. And how do you like that? Is that good? No politics. No politics here. You do it, you get it. No like, okay, oh, you did it? Oh, I'm sorry, we're going to have to extend it a little bit longer. None of that stuff, okay? We don't do that here. You do it, you get it. You like that? Yeah. That was big for me, right? I love that fact. So the key is to recruit and develop people. That's really ultimately our business, right? Do we have to market product? Yes, we have to market products, okay? But the whole key is to develop people. The reason we go see clients is to develop agents so we can develop a larger sales force. That's the whole point here. So this is our history. We have $4 million earners right now. We have 2 to date that make over 4. This is our company. We have 2 people that make over $4 million. Our goal is to have 5 by 2004. We have 32 individuals that make between 1 and 3.9 million. I'm in that category. We want 100 by the year 2004. We have 1,413 people that make between $100 and $1 million. and we have 3,479 between $50,000 and $100,000. Well, folks, that's our company. That's what we do. Hopefully, it makes sense to you. I know when I looked at it the first time, it made total sense to me, and I just said, you know, what do I need to do next? What you need to do next, before the meeting's over, before we leave tonight, is you need to get with the person that brought you. They're going to tell you exactly what you do to get started. Fill out your independent business application. All you need to do is, we can do it in one of two ways. You can do either a check or a credit card, and we can do that tonight. And if you're in a position where, you know, a lot of times people say, well, I can't afford to do that right now. That's a big red flag that you really need to do this, okay?